Hello, people. I am back for episode 3 of Wanopod, and today have a very special episode. I was in my journalism class when this happened, and unless you've been living under a rock for the last few hours, Dame Lillard has been traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, and that's all I'm going to talk about today. And that might include a rant about just who I think is going to win the chip. And to start, like always, I just want to say thank you for all the support that you guys have been giving on the videos. To keep racking it up, almost at 50 subscribers. I might do like a Q&A or something. But I'm going to give you the full trade details, and then I'm going to just go on and on. So this was a 3-team trade. The Bucks obviously received Dame. That's it. Blazers received Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Kamara, 2029 first-round pick, and 2 pick swaps. And the Suns received Jusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. Flat out, I think the Suns won this trade. That's just my personal idea, my personal preference. I think the Suns won this trade. I feel like the Bucks could have got something else out of this trade other than just Dame, because losing Jrue Holiday, you get Dame. Okay, I understand that. But this just puts a lot of stuff into the air. Seeing the Suns get rid of a guy like DeAndre Ayton, who I already talked about, I just feel like something was messed up around his confidence and his aggressiveness. And to get a guy like Jusuf Nurkic, who's very aggressive, solid defender, get you rebounds, paint protector, solid. Suns also get Grayson Allen, shooter, defender. Might be a dirty player, but good for depth. Nasir Little, defender. Keon Johnson, athletic defender. So personally, I think the Suns win this trade. Blazers, we have yet to know, because I feel like I just saw that the Sixers are trying to get Jrue Holiday back. So this Blazers is a young team. They got DeAndre Ayton. Like to see what they can do with him and Scoot, Shaden Sharp. Yeah, I just want to see how Scoot does. It's not really his team, even though at heart I always will think that Jrue Holiday is a shooting guard, so they could move him in at the 2, Shaden Sharp at the 3. However Chauncey Billups wants to do that. But yeah, big day, man. This Dame trade mess has been going on for months now, and to see this finally go down. I'm sorry, I did not think Dame was going to the Bucks. I did not think he was going to the Bucks. The Heat, man, I thought the Heat had it, but they could have done. I know the Heat could have got a 3-team trade done, but nonetheless, they couldn't get that trade done. So they might still be in the works for a guy maybe like James Harden. Even Jrue Holiday's there, but I know they miss big, man. Letting Dame team up with Giannis. That's what I'm going to talk about actually right now. Giannis, top 2-3 player in the league, consensus. Jokic gonna be the top guy after winning that championship. So I just saw something about the potential starting lineup of that team, and it's like Dame at the 1, Chris Middleton at the 2. I don't think Bobby Portis is gonna start, so I think they're gonna put Pat Connaughton or Malik Beasley at the 2. Malik Beasley's like, shooter, solid guy on the wing. I think Chris Middleton plays the 3, Giannis at the 4, and then Brook Lopez at the 5. That starting lineup, solid. Off the bench, you got guys like Jay Crowder, Pat Connaughton, obviously Bobby Portis. I know I hit that. Bobby Portis. Let's see if Jay Crowder can get back into the rotation, because he struggled to get minutes last year, especially in the playoffs, man. That's a vet right there that you need to have on your team. I'm liking it, but I'm always obviously I'm not the biggest fan of Giannis. I don't know why. It's just something that goes back to that series where Kyrie got hurt after landing on him. That just made me feel some type of way, and then, you know. But I digress. I'm gonna talk straight facts and what I think. Opinions can go out the window. But so I talked about like that starting lineup, that team. That's a top 3 seed championship contender, having a guy like Dame, who averaged over 30 points per game while he was healthy last season, and then a guy like Giannis, MVP candidate, only playing 30 minutes per game last year, which is actually insane. 30 points per game. You know, Giannis is gonna do him. I'm just scared to see what that Dame and Giannis pick and roll is gonna look like. That's gonna be very scary. But at the same time, I don't know how it's gonna work. At the same time, because like knowing Dame is a guy who can come across half court and pull it, I feel like that's gonna somehow mess up that flow. That like a guy like Jrue Holiday who could run the offense and play defense. I'm not gonna talk about Dame's defense. He can play defense when he wants, but like, you know, like a guy like Jrue Holiday, in my opinion, is the best two-way guard in basketball right now. Losing him is like losing defense on the guard side of the ball, and losing a guy like Grayson Allen. But I feel like the scoring will make up for it with Dame. I don't really have a projection for his points per game. I know they're going to drop from last season because you got a guy like Giannis and Chris Middleton, who are both, when healthy, 20-plus points per game scorers. Giannis, in his case, 30. I just would like to see how a guy like Dame fits into that system. You know, yeah, man. This is just a crazy, like, I was in my class. I went to get to the International Center here at MSU, and I think this kid is in my class because he's talked to me about another thing. I remember talking about Kate Cunningham in class, and like I'm walking to go find a seat with my boys, Jason and Tyler. And he looks at me. He's like, bro, see what happened? I'm like, what? He said, Dame traded to the Bucks. I'm like, what? That's crazy. And then, you know, I had to go sit down with my food and check out all the details. So yeah, I talked about the Bucks and my idea, and now I'm gonna talk about the Blazers and Suns, and then I'm gonna talk about my projections. So Blazers, they're like a project team. They're rebuilding, losing a guy like Dame, but they did get Scoot Henderson, and now this is his team. Because I said Jrue Holiday to me is a 2. He can play the 2, 1, whatever, because he can guard and he can shoot. I just like Jrue Holiday as a player, man. Like I said before, I would compare myself most to him, if not Kevin Durant or DeJounte Murray. But, you know, model your game after KD, but you don't end up being 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". So you got to compare yourself to a guard because that's what you play. Even though I usually play wing, but not to go on a rant. Blazers. Hey, Blazers could be sneaky contender. Not contenders. Heck no. No, not contenders. I'm sorry. It just depends on how they play that lineup with a guy like Jrue Holiday. Even though Sixers are trying to get him, we'll see. But as of right now, Jrue Holiday's the starter. Starting 2 guard, in my opinion. Scoot at the 1. Let him facilitate the offense. Run a guy like Jrue Holiday at the 2. Guard the other team's best guard. He can play make. He can shoot. It's like running a two point guard set, I guess, because Drew's been playing point guard for a while now. He's a big guard. At the 3, you got a guy like Shaden, 4, Jeremy, 5, DeAndre Ayton. That's a solid starting 5. But they lost a guy like Keon Coleman off the bench. You know, they still got Trendon Watford, who's solid off the bench too, if they still have him, if I'm not mistaken. But that's not the deepest team, but at the same time, they are like trying to rebuild. They lost Nasir Little too, dang. They gave everybody up. Dang, that sucks. I'm not going to lie. As a basketball fan, and people say I know ball, before like this trade, I did not know who, I guess it's Tumani Kamara was. I know he's a rookie. He just got drafted. So I can't really say anything. I didn't really watch him in Summer League. I'm really high on Summer League. I like to watch the young guys play against each other, seeing how their potential might pan out in the league. So like I guess like a guy like Ochai Agbaji last year, who was drafted in the lottery and then traded immediately for Donovan Mitchell. I just don't like that. Like guys like rookies, like why are you sending rookies out and they haven't even played a game a minute on the real floor? But that means nothing, man. Let them develop under guys like let those guys like KD and all those guys mentor. But he got traded away from the Suns, so it doesn't even matter. But Blazers, you got 20-point per game scorer Jeremy Grant, close to 20-point per game scorer Drew Holiday, AN 17, 10, 18, and 10 guy. I just want to see AN be more aggressive. I've always been a guy that roots for AN. I don't care what he does in the playoffs. I've always been a guy that was a fan of him because I know what he's capable of, but he just hasn't been in the right spot to do it. And I feel like with the Blazers, this is going to be a statement year for him as a number one overall pick over guys like Luka and Trae Young. So he has to prove himself because he still hasn't done that yet, as we can see, as he still gets slandered because he's not 25 and 15 guy. He doesn't play the most aggressive basketball. But when he is aggressive, you can see the numbers he puts up, the impact he has on his team, and things of that nature. So I just want to see DeAndre Ayton have a career year with the Blazers. And I like how he was just playing with Chris Paul too, but one of the best passers of all time. So there's no excuse for him here. You got a young guy like Scoot who's trying to make a name for himself out there as a rookie. So I just feel like he's going to have a lot more, I guess, opportunity because he doesn't have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, or at the time Chris Paul, like taking up shots, I guess. But like I said, this is a statement year for DeAndre Ayton. I don't like how they're slandering his name, but this is a statement year for him. And anything else I have to say about the Blazers, man? I know you're losing a guy like Dame Lillard. He finally ran from the grind, man. After all these years of doing nothing over there, he finally got out. And I'm just happy to see if he can go get 10 in the East. You know I'm getting to that soon, but I'm going to talk about the Suns. Let me pull this back up. Just to reiterate, the Suns got Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. That just adds to the depth of this team that people were questioning when they got Bradley Beal, when they had got Kevin Durant. Guys like Grayson Allen, Keon Johnson, Nasir Little, all wings who can play defense. Grayson Allen, a guy who could be the sixth man for this team, realistically. Come off the bench, spark plug, hit some threes, play some good defense, play that gritty basketball that he's always played. Think about Grayson Allen. I just saw a post about him saying he was going to change his jersey number. He got shipped off. I saw the thing about Drew Holiday saying he was a lifelong Buck, man. They did that to Marcus Smart. And now they're doing that to Celtics did that to Smart. Like he said, he didn't want to leave. He wanted to retire with the team. Drew Holiday did that, and guess what? He got traded the next day. Jordan Poole, what they say? They were like, we're not really looking to trade Jordan Poole. What they do, they traded him the next day. Like, I don't understand. Well, it wasn't the next day. It was soon after. I know these last two were like soon. Like, all three of these were either the player or the team say they were going to have a long future relationship, business, but business is business, like they always say. These guys got shipped off to different teams. I just don't like that. I feel like organizations, I know they had to get Damian Lillard to play for the Bucks, and that makes sense to me. You want to contend, but you couldn't contend with a guy like Drew Holiday, which I guess, man, Drew Holiday he was one of the main reasons y'all got a ring. So if y'all don't get a ring this year, Giannis, I know he was talking about wanted to have a supporting cast around him. You get a guy like Dame, but you lose some of your depth. Like I said, we'll see when it comes to playoffs. But yeah, having a guy like Dame space the floor for sure. I would like to see a pick and fade with Dame and Brook Lopez. Guys who can shoot it exceptionally well for their position from deep. But I'm going to go back. I just went on a rant about Drew Holiday and how he said he wanted to be a lifelong Buck, even though he was on other teams. But yeah, I'm going to go back to talking about Grayson Allen and those guys who got traded to the Suns. I personally think the Suns win this trade because they already had that three-headed monster: Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. And then you add guys like Nasir Little, defenders, like I just said, Grayson Allen, Keon Johnson, athletic. Keon Johnson's a very athletic guy, plays defense. I think the Suns win this trade, personally. I know I just got a notification talking about the Suns' updated rosters, and I'm about to look at that right now. Give me a sec. So, point guard, I know they're saying Brad Beal's going to run the one. But personally, I think Devin Booker should run the one. Then off the bench, Saban Lee, Pistons guy. If you know, you know. Two guards, Devin Booker, Eric Gordon, Keon Johnson, Damian Lee. That's deep. They got Eric Gordon. That was a big pickup when they got him. Small forward, Okogie, Grayson Allen, Keita Bates-Diop. Again, that's depth at the position. Even though you don't have, I know Katie's running the 4, but that's solid. Defenders. Fours. KD, Nasir Little, Yuta Watanabe. Deep. Centers, Yusuf Nurkic, Drew Eubanks, and Bobo. I don't have to say much else about the Suns. I think Suns won that trade. In long term, I might say Blazers because they did get Ayton, and then now you can let a guy like Scoot Henderson rock out and Anthony Simons. And yeah, so that's just my ideas personally about the trade itself and on the surface what I see. If I had to talk about like what I see, I already talked about like how I can see the Dame and Giannis pick and rolls. For the Blazers, adding a guy like Ayton. I just want to see him have a career year, breakout season with the young guard and Scoot Henderson, he's really a pass first guard in my opinion, and I just want to see how he can enhance his rookie season as a big man. And I just want to see him be more aggressive. And then for the Suns, my expectation for the Suns, man, as a Kevin Durant fan, need him to get that third ring. That's it. It might be Suns versus Bucks part 2 in the finals, and winner takes all. So, yeah. Just want to see how Dame can possibly enhance that team, which he will, obviously, with his scoring ability. I just want to see if Dame can become more of a playmaker with more options around him. You feel me? And, yeah, for the Suns, man, I just want to see a guy like Book really 1-1 rather than Beal, because I know Beal is a true scorer, and I know Book has averaged 6+ assists a game in a season in his career. So I might want to see them flip-flop that, have Book playing a 6'6" big guard, and then a guy like KD. KD's going to get buckets. Oh, Nurkic. I already talked about him being like a paint defender, but I feel like that's a good trade, man, because having a guy like Ayton who wasn't always the most aggressive and consistent. Nurkic hasn't been the best lately, but I feel like Nurkic has that edge to him to where he's always aggressive. That's something that I feel like Ayton needs to get as a player in basketball. And like I said, I want to see Suns, Bucks come out of the East and West if possible. Now I'm going to talk about major threats to the Suns. Not the Suns. I'm talking about the Bucks. I said the Nets. I probably did back a couple of seconds ago. Bucks, Suns. Those are the two teams I want to come out of the East and West. Now I'm going to talk about threats. Always. Sixers, get them out of here. I'm sorry. Sixers just cannot beat the Celtics or the Bucks in a playoff series. They can't. So I'm going to throw them out. You know, Heat always going to be a little contender. See how they do this year with a healthy Giannis. I know Giannis has been taking care of his body, working with Olajuwon. Like, Giannis is going to be Giannis. That's why Giannis is one of the best players in the NBA. He continually strives to better his game. And you can see with him working with a guy like Hakeem Olajuwon, who might be the most skilled center to ever play the game of basketball. Working with him, he wants to get better, and he wants to be, which I already think Giannis is an all-time great. And he's low-key just entering his prime, so that's scary. But, yeah, you know, Giannis is going to be Giannis, and Dame is going to just spread that floor. But I feel like the Celtics are always going to be the Bucks' major threat. I don't care who they have. Celtics, adding a guy like Porzingis. I know they got rid of Marcus Smart, but I feel like Derek White fills that role perfectly, and then having a guy like Brogdon off the bench. Let me actually search up Celtics updated roster, which I basically already know. You know, they got Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, starters. And then they added Porzingis. You know, they got Al Horford, Brogdon. They got rid of Grant Williams, that's iffy. But I feel like Celtics will forever be contenders as long as Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are on that team. And adding a guy like Porzingis who can actually stretch the floor and add that, like I talked about in my last, he's going to add defense to that team. He will, no matter what. So I always feel like the Bucks, if the Bucks had any challenges, it's the Celtics and the Heat. And I know Giannis was hurt last first round, but no way they lose to the Heat in 5 games. Again, if they lose to the Heat next year in the playoffs, that's just a testament that they did not need Dame in the first place in Miami. And Kyle Lowry's a guy. Tyler Hero's going to be healthy this year, 20-plus point per game scorer. If he starts at the 1, that might be more. And then he could possibly bring his playmaking side to that squad as well. So, personally, I just think threats in the East will forever, for the Bucks, will forever be the Heat and the Celtics. Not much else in the East. I said the Sixers, man. Unless the Sixers actually put it together, I'm counting them out. I'm sorry, because Embiid is always hurt. Harden wants out. Or if they get a guy like Drew Holiday, we could start talking. But until then, only threats for the Bucks in the playoffs gonna be the Bucks. The Bucks threats are gonna be the Bucks. Yeah, sure, okay. Are gonna be the Celtics and the Heat. Watch out for them Pistons. Play in first round. Watch out for the Pistons. Milwaukee. All right. And then, as I'm talking about, I talked about the East. I think the threats in general, top 4, I guess, with the Sixers. I'm gonna talk about the West. You know, you got the Suns, Warriors, Lakers, Nuggets. Ooh, for the East, the Cavs, sleepers, healthy team. Allow Evan Mobley and Jared Allen to get more involved on the offensive side of the ball. That low key Celtics, Knicks are always going to be in there too. If Knicks could put it together too, there's always a possibility. But the Bucks, Celtics, and Heat are always going to be my top three, with guys like the Sixers, the Knicks, and the Cavs. I think that those got to be the top 6 seeds this year in the East. And then, I guess I'll talk about the teams that I forgot. Cavs, Garland, Mitchell, Okoro / Imani Bates, whoever they start. I think they're going to start Okoro. But Imani's a good addition. Low-key Michael Porter Jr. 2.0 with better rebounding ability. I know Michael Porter Jr. has come around as a defender. But, I like that addition of Imani Bates. Then, you got Evan Mobley, DPOY candidate for the rest of his career, in my opinion. They got to get him more involved on offense, man, because he's a generational talent at big, man. They would compare him to guys like Kevin Garnett, who is a top 3 power forward of all time. I don't know why I had to think. And then a guy like Jared Allen. Like, if you run in 2K and you see the Bucks, you have to get a team like the Cavs. You have to. If you see the person you're playing against with the Bucks, if you play 2K, you know how OP Giannis is on that game. You have to get a team like the Cavs or anybody else who has bigs who could possibly stop his rim running on the game. But to go away from that, Cavs, I don't know. I just feel like when it comes to the playoffs, Donovan Mitchell has not been consistent. He hasn't been the most consistent as a superstar level player. But, Donovan Mitchell's going to get you buckets. Garland, I feel like if he's healthy, that'll enhance the team even more. I feel like they can always make a run. I feel like if Evan Mobley continues to develop, the sky's the limit for the Cavs sooner or later. But they got a lot of young guys on the squad, so can't really count them out. And like I said, a team like the Knicks, even a team like the Nets, if they can get a guard. But until then, they're fringe 7-8 seed with Mikal Bridges, all-star season loaded for Mikal, man. Proud of him, coming from the Suns where people didn't think he was the most the score that he was on the Nets. Like, that just proves that when you're given the opportunity, you gotta take advantage of it and show what you really are in the league. Because there's not spots for everybody. Like, you gotta work for this. You have to work to be a star in the league, and I feel like Mikal Bridges has shown that. And like I'm saying, FIBA, Mikal, Jaren, and Anthony Edwards are 3 guys that have to come back next summer when it comes to the Olympics. And just because of how they played when it came to FIBA, I don't care if we make the God squad. Put them 3 at the end of the bench, if anything. But I digress. I'll just talk about the Nets, how they got a guy like Mikal, Cam Johnson, solid, Nick Claxton, who continues to improve. I feel like if he continues to add muscle, he's already athletic. If he can add a 3-ball to his game repertoire, as they say, he can be great. He's going to also be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Personally, I think Mobley should have won it, but we'll see this season who wins it. And for the West, my contenders, like I said, Suns, Warriors, Lakers, Nuggets, Clippers, fringe Clippers. Those are like my Clippers. I had another team in mind, Grizzlies. I like the addition of Marcus Smart. And yeah, those are Kings. Like the West is always stacked, man. Like, if I forget a team, don't get mad at me. That's how stacked the West is. But I think my contenders, my top guys, teams coming out the West They're going to be the Suns, Warriors, Lakers. Lakers got a deep squad. Lakers have a really deep team, along with like the Suns with this trade. Nuggets are gonna go back. Come on, they're gonna be contenders. They just won a championship. Can never count out the people who just won a championship. What's his name? OG on TikTok. When he was being asked about if the Lakers were gonna take the Warriors out of the playoffs, he was like, "I'm gonna go with the defending champs until they lose." So they're always going to be favored coming off that chip. So watch out for the Nuggets, man. Jokic, best center in the league, best player in the league as of right now. Coming off one of the best playoff performances from a big man that we've seen in a long time. Probably since Shaq in the Lakers, early 2000s. See, that's the thing. Unless you count Giannis a couple years ago, but I'm saying center. That's the thing. You don't really see teams now with centers as their best players. You got, off the top of my head, like best teams with their best player being a center, the Nuggets and the Sixers, straight up. Like, you might be able to argue for some other teams, but those two are off the top of my head. So seeing a guy like Jokic really run through the West last year, like, come on, they ran through the West, and they beat Suns in 6, and that was their toughest series. So that just goes to show how dominant of a run that the Nuggets had last year, and I know they're coming back for more this year. I already talked about the Suns and what I expect. They got that playoff experience. I know D-Book has a vengeance. I like Book, best two guard in the league as of right now, and I think he's going to stay that way until Edwards becomes more of a team player. And not to mention, Timberwolves can be fringe. They could be in the playoffs again this year. Having a full season with a guy like Mike Conley at the 1 and at the 2, McDaniels at the 3. So that wing duo defensively is going to be insane. Mike Conley, who can hold his own on defense as well. Cat at the 4. Cat stretches the floor, rebounds. And then Gobert at the 5. One of the best big men in the league. I don't care what you say how his season was last year. He can guard. One of the best big man defenders we've seen in a long time. So, yeah, talk about those guys. And I'll talk about the Suns. But I went off about how Anthony Edwards could be the best two guard in the league sooner or later. But I feel like he has to become more of a team player to do that. So until then, Devin Booker's the number 1 two guard in the league. I know people are going to be like, why do you think Anthony Edwards? You see what he just did in FIBA? That's enough for me. I feel like minimum points per game for Ant this year is about 26. Minimum. I have high expectations for that kid, man. He has that edge to him, to where if he wants to take over a game, he can take over a game. And yeah, I just have high hopes for him, man. Feel like he can be an all-time great if he keeps putting the work in. Same with Book, for real. Those two can score the ball. I know Book turned it up on defense in the playoffs. And I feel like if he continues to lock in on defense, same with Edwards. Because in FIBA, I was watching, and he would like guard a guy, and then the guy would go by him, and then he would just stop playing defense. I feel like he has to continue to play defense because he has the athleticism and the agility to be an all-NBA defender. So yeah, that's my take on the Wolves. They might be 7-8 seed, something like that. Warriors, Warriors gonna contend. Having a guy like Chris Paul, they say he's gonna start too. That's gonna be a really small ball lineup. Having a guy like Curry running off screens and not having to facilitate the offense at all times. I feel like this might be Curry's best season or more, most efficient, because he's gonna be ball dominant, but having a guy like Chris Paul and then having a guy like Chris Paul who can facilitate the offense, and Curry who doesn't have to do it all the time, and then there's like a lot of facilitators on this team. And I saw they just added Rudy Gay to the squad. He's gonna compete for a roster spot in camp, the team's final roster spot. I would have wished they could have got Dwight, but I guess that fell through. That would have been really good, having a defensive-minded big who can also rebound. I don't care how old Dwight is. You know what he's capable of. Defense, rebounding. And that's really all the Warriors really need. Big guards bigs who can guard bigs. And I saw a potential starting lineup for Golden State, which was Chris Paul, Steph, Clay, Wiggs at the 4, and Draymond at the 5. So that's a very small ball lineup. Only way I feel like they can get away with something like that is if one of them guys will have to come off the bench and they just start Looney. But I just feel like they just needed big man presence, and I feel like they sold their chance not getting Dwight. Yeah, that's my take on the Warriors. You know, the Warriors are going to be contenders. I feel like that first quarter of the season is going to sway me of how I feel about them, but they're always going to be contenders. When you have a guy like Steph Curry on your team, when you have guys like Draymond Green, who always brings that intensity, and he has that edge defensively, and he has the mental, and he can get in your head. Having a guy like Wiggs, I would like to see Wiggs fully focused. I know he had family issues at the end of the season and was forced to play playoffs. So I want to see him fully. I know there's a train right now, so I'm going to try to be as loud as I can right now. And then Clay, like I said, I just want him to be efficient. Steph Curry's going to do Steph Curry things, but I want to see how he plays at the 2, which is what they were calling him coming out of school. But they were saying he was too small because he was a shooter, this, that, and the third. But we know what Steph Curry is capable of shooting-wise. And I feel like this is going to be how he is when he's 42. Coming off screens, catching shoots, not having to facilitate the offense. That's why I'm low-key mad they didn't keep a guy like Jordan Poole who could eventually take over that role. Why is this train so loud? Okay, I'm going to hurry up and get this over with. Okay. If you didn't hear a word I just said, I was talking about how I thought Curry would be playing this role this season of how he will be when he's 40. Coming off screens, not having to really facilitate the offense. Like how Ray Allen did when he got older in the league. That's what you get out of one of the greatest shooters of all time. And Ray Allen, and then a guy like Curry, who is the greatest shooter of all time. My controller just fell. But and then I was talking about how Draymond, and if that's the starting lineup, it's going to be a very small ball lineup. Now I'm going to talk about the Lakers. Lakers added a lot of guys in free agency, and they got a deep squad. Starters, probably D'Lo, Austin Reeves, who, aside from like Cade, Jordan Poole, those are guys for most improved player. Reeves, Jordan Poole, Cade, my 3, or like a rookie that from last season. But yeah, you got D'Lo. I don't think Gabe Vincent's gonna start. Austin Reeves at the 3, LeBron 4, AD/Rui. I know AD said he wanted to play the 4 this year because I feel like that's where he's most efficient. That's where he's the best playing the 4, not having to do all the dirty work at the 5. There's a difference between 4 and 5. There is a big difference between a 4 and a 5. And then Christian Wood or Jackson Hayes, because I know Christian Wood to me is also a 4. So I think Jackson Hayes starts at the 5. Off the bench, Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish, guys like that. Maybe Rui, only if. And then like Wood, I said Cam Reddish already. That Lakers team deep. They got Taurean Prince as well. So yeah, Lakers gonna be in contention as well. And then I already talked about Nuggets, Clippers. See if Westbrook can go back to his old form. If so, he can enhance that team so much. We've seen what he has done with that guy like Paul George on his team before, but having a guy like Kawhi Leonard this time, who is a superstar in this league, two-way superstar, having two two-way superstars on the wings, Westbrook, you should be able to facilitate. You know what to do. And then at big, it don't even matter who they got at big, bro. Zubac gets the job done. Very good big man. Another team that I have not mentioned that just came to my mind is a healthy Pelicans team. You may be asking, why the Pelicans? With a healthy Zion, that team is in the playoffs. You got when healthy, the whole team. McCollum, 1. Herb Jones at the 2, who's a great defender. At the 3, Brandon Ingram. You know what Brandon Ingram can do. Mini KD. At the 4, Zion, all-star. Borderline superstar when healthy. At the 5, Valanciunas. 17, 18, and 10 type guy, can stretch the floor. Does all the dirty work. That team right there, off the bench, Trey Murphy, when healthy. Jose Alvarado, when healtty. Like, I know they got rid of Jackson Hayes, which kind of sucks. But I feel like they got Kira Lewis Jr. as well. Like, this team is young. They got some youngins. They got the potential to make a run as well when healthy. So just keep like a team like the Pelicans in mind. And then for the East, I already talked about the Pacers in my last pod. You got to go back and watch that. I'm not trying to keep going team to team. Leave in the comments if you've made it this far. If you want me to go team by team and give an analysis of what I think they will do next season and even further in the future. But yeah, I'm not gonna do my pick. Oh, should I do my? Yeah, I don't got no. I'm sorry, guys. Back-to-back weeks, no football content. I wrote though about games that I watched, and you just gotta go Jugheads_sports on Instagram if you want to see my take on those games. And I might even post another video tomorrow about those games in particular because I feel bad for those who are here for the football side. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all today, man. Talking about basically my take on the Dame trade and then how other teams can possibly compete on the East and Western Conference in the NBA. My personal pick to win the championship is going to be Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns. Let that sink in. Yes, Kevin Durant's getting his 3rd ring this season. If not, it's okay. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all today, man. Thanks again. Share this video with a friend. Get me above 50 subscribers. I know I only need 2 more, but it won't hurt to get me above 50. And I've probably got another episode coming tomorrow about the football games that I watched over the weekend. So just stay tuned. Turn on those post notifications. And yeah, thanks again and again for all the support y'all been giving me, man. Just having people watching my stuff and giving the feedback that you guys have been giving just making me want to do this even more. So the consistency is going to ramp up as I for sure going to start posting more videos. And once again, thank you again. And yeah, that's my take on the Dame trade and how that affects the league. He's still not a better point guard than Steph Curry or Luka Doncic, but I'm not getting into that discussion here either. Yeah, so I'm done today. I'm gonna just chill out, and I just hope you guys who listened got something out of this. I know somebody said I got insane ball knowledge. I know I've been watching basketball and just taking in everything I can over the years because it's what I want to do, be an analyst. And I feel like people are saying I a bright future in this, but only God knows. And I just pray that I will make it big one day. And yeah, once again, I'm gonna say thank you as many times as I can to you guys for the support. And Wano is out. Thank you all again.